Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and today we are going to be floating around in space in VR again, in Detached, a game from Anshar Studios based in Poland. This has been around in early access for a while, but the final release is practically upon us.
Things did not happen according to plan.
Which means we need to do something about it.
What the?
Now you're watching this whole intro in VR, there's like a screen floating in front of me.
Out here.
Nothing ever does go according to plan. Ooh. Detached. That's the sound that makes the detached. You see it's singing, but obviously in frequencies we can't hear. Or maybe it's because we're in a spacesuit and we can only kind of get a rough idea of what's going on. Okay, this is very black in here, like space. Emergency mode! Release clamps, but it gives me a countdown.
Status update. Thrusters activated. Use airlock to exit the hub.
Roger. So yeah, this has been around for a while. This is basically the review version, the release version. So, it's, okay, first thing to realize, this is a VR game only, but I don't really see any reason for it to be a VR only game. So, many VR games these days, they have different control systems to account for the fact that using direct controls with a player can make them motion sick. And I'm holding a gamepad and moving around, and I will say that it took me...
Oh, find an end to power up airlock.
Yes, not enough NANDs, I know where that is. There's one up here, and there's a big circular thing in the floor that looks pretty cool. I mean, it's a VR game, you want to have lots of things to look around at to make it work. You'll see the little cross, which is my velocity vector here. So yeah, this is just a standard Xbox gamepad that I'm using here to control everything. Now, when you input some sort of control, you get this problem where your eyes see that you're moving and your body doesn't. So when I rotate, I've learned to close my eyes because that actually helps with the motion sickness a whole lot. Yeah, so many modern games, they get around that by doing things like, say, grabbing and pulling. That works very well. You know, the astronaut type of motion where you grab a bit of the scenery and pull, that works well. You're controlling directly with the control pad. Oh, yeah, recipe for problems. However, I am in a spacesuit, and because I'm in a spacesuit, I see the kind of helmet around me. There, we'll just open that, and the gate turns green now, which means I can go through. This is the solo single-player part, which is maybe about an hour long. What it really is a thinly veiled series of tests to teach you how your special modules work. You start out with just your jetpacks, and then you'll get a booster, which makes you go faster, a shield which protects you, and a set of rockets.
Ready to use.
Yes, I got the airlock, and now I can go out. Yeah, and rockets you can use to shoot things, and these are ultimately key devices that are used in the multiplayer game. There is a PvP game where you're basically running around trying to grab a device and take it back to the capture site. It's basically capture the flag. And, well, that is one of the more interesting things, because having a VR game with that kind of PvP is not that common. Okay, here we go. Let's just try and grab this. This is an oxygen cylinder, and you'll see down here that I have oxygen. And now I've got more oxygen. And now I can actually take a look outside at these asteroids, which are floating around mysteriously and yet somehow not gravitating together. For no reason other than the artist thought it looked cool. Don't worry, I'm not criticizing this particular artist because lots of artists do it. It's not exactly something that I can single out any one particular artist, but it is the way that the universe works in spaceship games. Okay, so little green console here, fly along, push the button, push this button, there you go, bingo! And now I go from red to green and I get out of there. So yeah, the cockpit effect is something that makes things like Elite Dangerous works well, because you're sitting inside the cockpit, you're naturally sitting, and the controls kind of feed back. But even then, you know, if I'm doing a lot of rolling, you can definitely feel your brain protesting. And I'm going to point out that when you roll, right? When your rotation is in the roll thing, that really, really sets me off. Okay, but now we're floating around in deep space. What can we see? We've just come out of this thing here. 07. It's got... I don't know what that is, but it's where we were. The game is implemented in Unreal Engine, which seems to be quite common for a lot of VR titles. It's not the only spacewalky style.
Worry, I didn't forget about my space sloth. Here's the plan. You need to access the escape pod in the emergency bay. Unfortunately, sensors show that the hub is offline. Try to fix the other hubs. That should power up the emergency bay. I'll try to get back to you as soon as... Damn! I'll get back to you when I'm finished with this maneuver.
Damn!
Good
I
luck,
got
mate.
problems! Meanwhile, you get to chill out and look at your shadow. I mean, that's a nice thing. You can't see yourself except through the shadow. There's no mirrors or anything. Gives you a nice idea of how big things are. I mean, the sense of scale in VR is really fantastic. Being able to look around and move around, it really makes your eyes work a whole lot better. You know, seeing, if you've played the Apollo 11 game, basically, the movie, that's something that really gave you an idea of just how big Saturn V was. You know, looking around Saturn V in a first-person shooter, or in pictures, or, you know, in Kerbal Space Program, doesn't give you any idea of just how freaking big the Saturn V is. But in VR, like standing at the bottom of it and looking up, your brain suddenly clicks and you're like, dang, that is big. Okay, so we're gonna try and get over here. It's gonna take some time to float across the distance here. Just admiring the scenery here. I'm just gonna say, by the way, devs, the sound is mostly good, but you have missed out on the astronaut breathing trope that seems to work pretty well for these kind of games. Being able to hear yourself inside the helmet is a definite immersion driver thing. Okay. Oh, looks like there is something here. Yay, a fuel container. So I'm just going to get very close to it. What you do is you push the left stick down and that brakes. And once I get close, I press A to grab it. And by A, I mean A on the Xbox controller. So now we got to look for an airlock, and that is the airlock. Communication relay. This is the first place that we come to that we need to start turning things back on. I'm not sure what that pirate did, but apparently they managed to turn everything off. And as soon as you go through each airlock, there is a button on the wall. I'm gonna say, you know, in terms of game design, it'd be nice to have the buttons all in the middle of the doors, because forcing the player to rotate left or right does kind of enhance the space sickness issue. Okay, we get a package here. Let's take a look. Just hold on. Raise myself up, and then very carefully turn. Eyes closed. Boost module. So, if I just click on that, it magically disappears and gets fitted to my spacesuit. I now have boost. And I don't mean a boost bar. I don't remember that. There was a chocolate bar I remember as a child. No idea what was in it, but it probably wasn't the same thing that was in rocket fuel, because generally you don't feed stuff that's in rocket fuel to kids. Although, I guess in theory you could make rocket candy with, you know, potassium nitrate and sugar. So that makes at least one ingredient of rocket fuel that kids seem to consume in large quantities. So that's me using the boost to fly through that green shimmery, or the green shimmery thing before it became a red shimmery thing. Now up there is the next thing. You'll notice these levels have a lot of vertical features, basically. Up and down and left and right changes quite a lot, because they want to give you the idea of being in space. Communication relay. And that stuff zipping down like that.
High velocity particle stream ahead.
Warning! So what it's basically saying is this high velocity particle stream will push me backwards, and I will need the power of the boost module to push myself up this. Now the boost module has a limited amount of fuel. You have to turn it off to reactivate it, so you gotta kind of do this sharpish and then get back. So we'll just fly up top here, looking for the gate. There's the gate there, and zip through. And of course, at the top, there is a green panel, which will basically unlock the short way out instead of having to go the long way around.
Communication online. Reactor
Excellent.
chamber. Power offline.
Oh, it's
Power
telling me
relay.
now I need to work on the reactor
Transmitters
chamber.
offline. Power inverter. Inverter offline.
Okay, giving me a whole list of things that I need to fix here. In fact, I
Charging
think...
module.
Let me take a look here. I forget which way it is to turn. Nope, it's that way. And it... Oh man, it does churn your stomach every time I do it. You're, of course, not getting any of this. But trust me, you know, VR is one of those things where you have to be very careful about motion. I mean, I definitely like the environment. It's, you know, space games. I love it. But working in a spacesuit can be very, very, very hard on the tummy. I guess that's just a way of making it far more realistic, because everybody gets space sick in Zero-G, right? This is just like astronaut training. I'm really exaggerating the motion sickness, I'm gonna be clear. It's not gonna cause me to throw up or anything, but I can totally imagine that it does. There are people that are far more sensitive to it than
Hell
me.
yeah! I can see on my sensors that you fixed the communication relay. Wait. Alright, rendezvous coordinates sent to the emergency bay. You owe me a... Ah, damn, I got pirates on my tail. Echo out.
Okay, Echo. Try not to kill too many of those pirates. I mean, for all I know, you could be double-crossing me or something. Still, reactor chamber here. I'm pretty sure you're still on the level, and I don't mind exposing myself to some sort of crippling radiation. Okay, the better way I think to do this is to just keep my orientation and turn my head to click that button. There we go. The less I rotate,
Scanning
the more
environment.
comfortable I feel in this.
Reactor chamber. Status update. Power offline.
Yeah, so in the early days of VR, there was a lot of games that were very similar to this, but a lot of the games have kind of
Shield
abandoned
module
this control
active.
mechanism. Okay, there we go. That's the reactor, and there's some green oxygen here, which is totally wrong because, of course, liquid oxygen is blue rather than green. Get this. Yes, refilled. Looking around, look at all those pipes. Whoever did the modeling on this must love their pipes. Is there a special word for pipes being used as greebles in level design? I mean, surely we need a special term because they're pretty common. Okay, reactor chamber number 7. Zip through here. There we go. So there's the control panel. We can click on that and bring the reactor online. Or make it explode. No, just kidding. We know that this is going to work.
Activated. Reactor chamber breach.
Okay, so they exposed the thing and now there's lightning bolts everywhere.
Status update. Reactor chamber. Power online. Power relay. Transmitters offline.
Okay, so we get a whole lot of stuff going offline.
Offline.
I'm also going to note, incidentally, that I'm using oxygen despite being on a spaceship and having closed all the airlocks, so there's definitely gas in the air, otherwise we wouldn't have those lightning bolts, but apparently it's not breathable atmosphere. Okay, so we got to get through this space, and one of the things we just picked up was the shield module, so logically, you turn on the shield module using the Y button. There we go, it shall protect me from these lightning bolts. I'm not sure how it does it, but it certainly works as a gameplay mechanic, forcing me to run the gauntlet.
Charging module.
So by turning it off, the thing starts recharging. That's the important thing. Both the modules, the booster and the shield, they get used and you basically have to turn them off periodically. We have a repair station which will let me repair my helmet if I had broken it. If you crash into things too hard, you can break your helmet, which of course is rather disconcerting, but I think based on experience, having a cracked helmet all over your face actually makes the motion sickness a lot more comfortable because you have more cockpit in your way. So yeah, in real life, having cracks all over your helmet might make you a little worried, but in VR it does make you a little more comfortable. So we need to find the power relay and get the transmitters online, wherever that is. Activate. Bingo. And out the exhaust pipe. Off. Come on! Yay, here we go. I'm not sure why we had to go the other way, but... yes, bring the shield online. We're about to get expelled through the exhaust pipe.
Discharge.
Bingo! Whoa! We're getting shot out like a cannon. Anyway, you know, if you want to see that, you can buy the game yourself. There is also a multiplayer game. Now, this is a pretty simple 1 versus 1 game where you're playing Capture the Flag. You have kind of this intro lobby thing while you're waiting. You can play it on the LAN, you can play it with friends. I don't have any friends. I decided to try and join the public servers. And I would sit here for 5 minutes and nobody would join. So I can't really show you any PvP, not that I am likely to be any good at it.
Objective. Acquire package.
But I figure that the motion sickness provides more than enough of an adversary, so I'm going to try and do this solo. So what you have to do is find the package. The package has appeared in this module in the middle here. So I'm going to try and get over there, get in fast, and not throw up. Just kidding. It's a lot worse if you're tired, I'm going to say, and I'm always tired because I've got so much going on. There we go, vault! Slow down! Using the booster to slow down and then turning it off while I'm floating across the map. Now there is one other device which I haven't shown, and that is the missiles, which are used to open certain force fields, but missiles can also be used in combat to basically shoot your opponent down.
Package collected.
Okay. Oh wow, that really...
in extraction.
There we go. Okay, now. Gotta find... There's one spot there. Where's the other spot? There's basically a couple of places you can drop this package. There's one hiding behind that asteroid. That seems like a safer option. The nearer one is the obvious one. That's where the bad guy will go. But over here... Here is my extraction point. Come on. Just I've overcooked my boost, so my boost is recharging, which means I'm now moving around a lot more slowly. Incidentally, there is a top speed which is imposed. There's a maximum speed that you accelerate to in any linear direction. So yeah, you need the boost if you want to go faster than that. Although once you turn it off, you retain your speed that you picked up beforehand. Come on, in here. Let me in here. And there's the green thingy. So I can pass this back to the people by telling them, hey, I've left the package by the green
Mission
screeny
objective.
thingy.
Extract package.
Wrong one, maybe. Look, okay. Detached. It is going to be available in a couple of days. It's VR only. Works fine with Steam VR. It works fine with Oculus. You can use the touch controllers or whatever if you like, or you can just play with a gamepad. You probably want to play it... Oh, it's sitting down.
Mission objective.
But yeah, if you are not one of these people that can handle a lot of motion in VR, then you might have some issues with it. There aren't many levels at this time. There's only a couple of levels to play, and the main linear story is maybe 1 hour long. There's no big mystery, just do a bunch of tasks and get rescued at the end with a small amount of story. The real extended play comes from multiplayer. So the game is Detached. It's by Anshar Studios, who are based out of Poland, which I like the Polish devs. They always seem to do fun things. You'll know if you want this or not. I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.